sermon today. I said, sure, no problem. And then you start thinking about, what do you want to talk about? And I wasn't going to talk about a number of different things, and settled on what I consider the greatest commandment of all, love. One of the things I wanted to talk about was basically for younger people, and it was going to be more about your decisions and what you do during your life. Because we've all done things and we're going, that was stupid. And when it says obey your parents, it's not something that's supposed to be like slavery. It's supposed to be because they understand and know better than the young people. And it's funny because I see young people today and I say, I can do that. I know how to do that. When in reality, there's a lot of things I've done in my life that I went, wow, that was dumb. How did I get away with that? But that's not the lesson today. And it's a good thing because most of our young people are not here. So. The greatest commandment, love. Easier said than done. But it's one of those commandments that Jesus asked us to do above all else. So we're going to go through some scriptures that talk about love and what it actually means. Characteristics of love. 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 8. This goes on to talk about if you have all these different things but you don't have love, you really have nothing. If I speak in tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge. Can you imagine that? To be able to fathom all mysteries of the universe? That would be fantastic. But it goes on to say, but if you don't have love, if I have the faith that can move mountains. We talk about faith all the time, and it's something you need to have and have to have. But can any of us here with our faith move mountains? And in here, they could move mountains if you had that faith. But do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all my possessions to the poor, give my body over to hardship, that I may not boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast. It's not easily angered, it keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. You know, that would be a perfect marriage. When you get married,
It uses a lot of them.
Yeah, I read that.
but you go through that during your marriage vows, and a lot of that's not in there, because those are kind of tough. I know my wife will be like, remember when you did this?
No.
You're not supposed to remember that, although it was 5 minutes ago. But it does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, there will be still. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. So if you're the greatest human being that ever walked on the face of the earth, but have not love, you have nothing. You have nothing that's going to get you to heaven. John 4:16 through 21. Again, we're going to talk about love. And so we know and rely on the love of God. As for us, God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. This is how love is made complete among us, that we will have confidence on the day of judgment. In this world, we are like Jesus. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. We love because he first loved us. Whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother and sister whom they have seen cannot love God, whom they have not seen. And he given us this command: anyone who loves God must also love their brother and sister. You know, there's times when you have brothers and sisters that test that love. They're annoying sometimes, they get on your nerves, but deep down you always love them, regardless. I know that I struggle with the everyday love. As you're going down the road and someone cuts you off, you're at work and you're dealing with not so nice people. It calls us as Christians to be on a higher level than those that are in the world. Our heart needs to be right, and we need to focus on loving our brothers and our sisters. What God says about love in the Bible. Of course, the most famous one, John 3:16, I would come to say that that's probably known around the world. When you talk to people who are not Christians, even they know John 3:16. I forget the wrestler's name, Stone. That was his motto in wrestling, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. That is a love beyond the love that we know. To give your life for sinners, for people who are below him. He was perfect in every way, but yet he chose to give himself up on the cross, such sacrifice for us, so that we can have a relationship with his Father. John 13:34 and 35. A new command I give to you, love one another as I have loved you. And you must love one another, but everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. That right there is a big distinction between Christians and non-Christians, is the way they conduct themselves, not just in church, but out in the real world. You see those people that exemplify being what a Christian is, when you see the love and the overabundance of happiness that they have in their lives because they know Jesus. Romans 5:7 and 8. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though for a good person someone might possibly dare die. But God demonstrates his love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. While we were still unacceptable, an abomination, because we are sinners, Christ died on the cross for us. 1 Peter 1:22. Now that you have purified yourself by obeying the truth, so that you have sincere love for each other, love one another deeply from the heart. And the heart part is, you can love someone, but is your heart right when you're doing that? Is it a deep love like Jesus had for us? Are you willing to sacrifice your time for another, your life for another? It's easy when it's your child, because there would be nothing you wouldn't do to save your child. But when it's a complete stranger, an enemy, Jesus also calls us to love them just as much. 1 John 3, 16 through 18. This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother and sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and truth. And there's that saying, actions speak louder than words. And there's a reason behind that. Because you're actually doing what you're saying, and not just saying it. John 4:16. And so we know and rely on the love of God has for us. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God and God in them. Whoever lives in love. Again, we are to love one another. We are to love our enemies. We are to love those that persecute us. Matthew 5:43 through 48. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbors and hate your enemies. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Well, that's a hard thing to do. But yet we're called to be better than the average person as a Christian. Our example is everything. So if we come to church and we're happy and we're bubbly and we're greeting everybody and hugging everybody, but when we leave this building, we go out and turn into one of those people in the world, we're no better than they are. In fact, we're a hypocrite. We're kind of portraying ourselves as being a Christian, when in fact, we're just following the crowd. Pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Do not even pagans do that? Be patient, or be perfect. Therefore, as your Heavenly Father is perfect. Love is not easy. Because we have human emotions, we get angry. We get grumpy. It's something that we have to build on daily. It's not something that's made into us. Now, as an infant, you are. My granddaughter, I could just go on and on about her. She's perfect in every way. She's happy all the time. She's smiling and giggling. And this week she started her first step, so she's starting to walk. You look into her eyes and you just see perfection. And then you don't give her a bottle when it's time for her bottle, and you see, woo, she gets angry. But when I look at her, I'm like, this is what love is all about. You don't understand. For people who don't have children or grandchildren, you don't actually know what love is yet. For you young people, you think you know. When you get your first boyfriend, this is the love of my life. And then you realize when you're holding your newborn baby that this is the love of your life. This right here is love. Luke 7:44 through 47. Then he turned towards the woman and said to Simon, do you see this woman? I came into your house. You did not give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman from the time I have entered has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not pour oil on my head, but she has poured perfume on my feet. Therefore I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has forgiven little loves little. John 15:12-13. My command is this, that the love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down their life for one's friends. Jesus laid down his life for all of us. Even when we were sinners and we didn't deserve, none of us deserved it. From the lowly to the highest, they were all sinners. Romans 12:9-13. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. And in today's world, it's all about me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. We shouldn't be looking at ourselves. We should be loving one another, exemplifying their good traits. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. So that's going to be quite hard. It's not easy to do all these things. But it's something we're called to do. And there's a thing called habits. Once you continually do something over and over, it becomes second nature, and you just follow that. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Live in harmony with each other, with one another. Do not be proud, but willing to associate with people of low position. Garth Brooks has a song about that. Do not be conceited. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. And I can't say that it's evil, but I've seen where people have cut me off and then I return the favor. I wouldn't call it evil, but that's something that shouldn't even enter my mind. I shouldn't be like, this guy just cut me off, what a jerk, let me do the same to him to show him. I should be better than that. And I try. I haven't, I carry a gun most all the time, 99% of the time, and I haven't ever shot anybody, so thank you for that. I've kind of held back.
Praise be to God.
Yeah. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. On this contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. You know, in all of your movies that there's a hero and a villain, good always overcomes evil. Sometimes it's not as easy as it is in the movies. It's a struggle, but good always wins out. Always. And when Jesus comes through the sky with trumpets blaring, the final good will overcome all the evil of the world. Jim says that he has no fear of dying because he's ready for when the Lord comes. You know, like Jan, I'm a conspiracy theorist. And I'm always, when something happens, I'm like, whoa, that's not right. And then you start going down the rabbit hole, which can lead to long nights. But anyway, I was positive when we got involved in the Iraqi war, that was the end time. That was it. And I was fearful because I wasn't where I needed to be as a Christian. And I was worried that I was going to hell. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it, this is the final war. And it wasn't. We know not when the time is going to come. Like a thief in the night, none of us will probably be ready for it when it comes. It'll probably be some non-eventful day or night when it comes, but it will come. And are we going to be ready? If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you will burn heaping coals on his head. Do not overcome evil by evil, but overcome evil with good. Not as easy as it sounds, but we strive to do this part. Because I know that if someone did evil to me, it's hard. It's not something that's natural to go and help that person that just tried to destroy you. But yet, we're called to do that as Christians.
That was one of the harder things that I had to deal with in the military, is when we're deployed and something happens, like they shoot at you, you shoot back and they get injured, your next immediate responsibility is to render medical aid. So you have to help keep the person alive that just tried to kill you. And yeah, like at that end of it, that's the same, like your enemy is hungry, feed him, if he's injured, help him, like that's difficult to do.
Yeah, I was, I can't even think of the name of the movie I was watching, but during this movie, this person was being persecuted and tortured and beat up, and yet the person that was receiving it all was kind and generous and did everything he can to help this person that was basically torturing him. And towards the end, it wasn't a Christian movie or a spiritual movie, but the meaning was there. And towards the end of the movie, this person said, all of this you've done, and yet I've been nothing. Oh, I know what it was. It wasn't torturing him. It was Veggie Tales, because I watched that. So I watch it almost daily with Trisha. And the mean turnip guy, he was so mean all the time. But at the end, turnips are like yeah, I watch that movie every day. I'm losing my mind. On a positive note, I know a lot more nursery rhyme songs now. Well, this is going to kind of close it out, and then we can go over some thoughts. Galatians 5:13 and 14. You, my brothers and sisters, you were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather serve one another humbly in love. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. And you, or I, read this over and over, and love your neighbor as yourself. And people could take this the wrong way. But it says up there, do not indulge the flesh, rather serve one another humbly in love. People outside of the church could take this the wrong way. Because in today's society, most of the words that we come to know and love have been tainted and twisted. The rainbow has been used as for pride. simple words have been turned to use in a negative context. By our example, by what we do on a daily basis, exemplifies who we are. And it shows others. Just like in VeggieTales, he came around at the end because she was always considerate, nice, loving, kind. Are we doing that on a daily basis? Are we being that example like Christ was to us? Who here has watched that series, The Chosen? That's a tearjerker. And you go through and you see some of the stuff. Now, granted, some of it is ad-libbed in there. Not all of it is pure text. So I was like, wow, I didn't remember reading any of that. But what a great series that was. And in that actor does such a wonderful job because in everything that he does it out of love. And he does it to help. When it hurts him, he does it for them. Anybody have any stories where they struggled with love? Not to put anybody on the spot. Not one person. You guys are crazy. People are like, I'm not sharing that story.
I will say that everybody, Christian and non-Christians, can love people they like to be around and stuff. But for a Christian, that's the hardest thing, is loving people you don't like.
Yeah. It is, and it calls us to be higher than the average person.
Right.
Not because we're better than them, but because that's what Christ's example was to us. And every day we should be trying to be just like Christ, to live like Christ. Okay, that was it. So it's going to be a shorter one today. Maybe I was nervous when I was going over this at home because I was like, that's at least 30, 35 minutes. I'm good.
Well, they say you